I want to welcome everyone to the quarterly board meeting of the Osteopathic Medical Board of California. This meeting is being held on Thursday, November 13, 2025, and the time is 9 a.m. This meeting is occurring at the hearing room of the Department of Consumer Affairs located at 1625 North Market Boulevard, Sacramento, California, 95834. Today's meeting will be run according to the Open Meeting Act as required by law. This meeting will be conducted using the following guidelines. The board welcomes public comments on any item on the agenda, and it is the board's intent to ask for public comments prior to the board taking action on any agenda item. During each agenda item, the host moderating this WebEx event will activate the Q&A feature of the WebEx and will ask anyone wishing to make a public comment to indicate so by replying yes. The host will then call on the individuals who indicated they wish to make public comments by the name they joined the WebEx event as. When called upon, the host will unmute the microphone of the individual, and he or she will have 3 minutes to make his or her public statement. The host will audibly announce when 15 seconds remain to conclude the public comment. After the 3 minutes have lapsed, the individual will be placed back on mute. Only one public comment per agenda item is allowed per attendee. All participants will unmute their microphone or phone during each presentation of the agenda topic. Conclusion of the discussion from the board members, I will ask for public comment. At the conclusion of the discussion period, I will call for a vote if necessary or move to the next agenda item. All in attendance should keep their comments specific to the agenda item being discussed. An opportunity for public comment for items not on the agenda will be provided. Please be advised that during this comment period, the board cannot engage in discussions or take action on any matter that is raised except to decide whether to place the matter on the agenda for future meeting. Now I'd like to establish this meeting and call it to order by establishing that we have a quorum. And I ask the board members to unmute their microphones. Machiko, will you please call the roll?
Good morning. Gore Damian.
Present.
John Cummins.
Present.
Brett Lockman.
Present.
Amesh Patel.
Present.
Denise Pines.
Present.
Matthew Swain.
Present.
Quorum has been established.
Great. We're going to move to agenda item 2. To remind us of why we're here today, our executive director, Erica Calderon, is going to read our board's mission statement.
Thank you, Madam Board President Pines. The mission of the Osteopathic Medical Board of California is to protect the public by requiring competency, accountability, and integrity in the safe practice of medicine by osteopathic physicians and surgeons.
Thank you. Next agenda item is agenda item number 3, public comment on items not on the agenda. During the meeting today, public comment is welcome on any agenda item as the item is taken up by the board. Please be aware that public comment during this agenda item should provide information to the board members and is not a discussion between the board members and the public. The only action board members can take is to listen to comments and decide whether they want a future agenda item on the topic. No other action can be taken on the item at this meeting. Though this may seem at times like the board members are not being responsive, following these guidelines is critical to ensure the rules of the Open Meeting Act are followed to avoid compromising the speaker's goals or the board's mission. In order to allow the board sufficient time to conduct its scheduled business today, the board will limit the time given to each person to 3 minutes. It is not necessary to repeat statements or views of a previous speaker. It is sufficient to state that you agree. As a reminder, please do not disclose any details of an active enforcement case or licensing matter. Such discussions are considered ex parte communications as they could provide information to members that's outside of the record in violation of the Administrative Procedure Act. Therefore, such discussions could create a conflict and lead to a board decision being challenged in Superior Court. The board can receive comments regarding the board's processes in general, but it cannot receive comments on specific case circumstances where the decision is still pending. In addition, the board would like the public to address the board as a whole and not as individual members. The board appreciates your cooperation and assistance in meeting its legal mandate. If you want to comment on an agenda item, please wait until we get to that agenda item. Comments at this time are only for items not on the agenda. And again, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And at this time, are there any public comments from members that are in the audience? Okay. A moderator, are there any comments from people who are on the line?
I will check. Thank you. This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment for an item that is not on the agenda, you can look for the hand icon, which is typically at the bottom of your WebEx screen if you're logged in by a computer. If you're on a mobile device, that hand icon might be behind the 3-dot other options, and our call-in users can press *3 to raise their hands. As stated, each speaker will have 3 minutes with a 15-second warning. Are there any comments for items not on the agenda? I do not see any requests for comment. I will turn the meeting back to you, Chair.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For our next agenda item, number 4, we're going to review and seek possible approval of the August 14, 2025 board meeting minutes. I'd like to welcome Associate Governmental Program Analyst Beth Clark to review the minutes with us. Members, if you can unmute your phone so that if there are any additions or corrections, Beth can take note of those.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm here to review and get the possible approval of the board meeting minutes for the August 14th, 2025 board meeting. And I'll just start with page 1. Do we have any edits or corrections? Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. And page 11. No edits? Okay, I'll turn it back to Madam President for a board vote.
Thank you. So can I get a motion to adopt the board meeting minutes for August, what was the date? 14, 2024, 25?
I move we adopt.
Get a second?
I second.
Great. Machiko, can you please do a roll call? Do we need comments first?
This board counsel, Yuping Lin, before we take the vote, if we can get public comment on this agenda item.
Okay. Are there any comments from members in the room?
Good morning, Holly McChris, Executive Director, Osteopathic Physicians and Surgeons of California. I do on page 11, where it says that I requested updates on the upcoming osteopath bill. I actually said I will be updating you on the bill. So if we can just correct that. Thanks.
Are there any additional comments in the room? Moderator, are there any comments online?
Let's find out. If anyone would like to make a comment on the minutes, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Each speaker will have 3 minutes with a 15-second warning, and our call-in users can press *3 to raise their hand. Any comments on the minutes? I do not see any requests for comment. I will turn the meeting back to you.
Okay, great. So we have an amendment to the minutes. So can I get another motion accepting the amended board meeting minutes.
I move to adopt.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay, great. Machiko, can you do a roll call?
Gore Damian,
Aye.
John Cummins,
Aye.
Dr. Lockman,
Aye.
Dr. Patel,
Aye.
Denise Pines,
Aye.
Dr. Swain.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. The board meetings have been adopted with amended. Thank you. And so now we are going to move to agenda item 5. We have an early termination of probation petition, and I'm going to turn the meeting over to our administrative law judge, Marcy Lawson.
All right. I see Mr. Fleming, who represents the people, and then Dr. Abdallah. Yes, if you would please come up. And Doctor, am I saying your last name correctly? I am. All right. All right, Doctor, I'm going to have you turn your microphone on. Mr. Fleming, likewise.
Okay.
And Doctor, you have the exhibits in front of you, correct? Good. All right, in just a moment, we're going to get the hearing started. We have a court reporter here. You'll see him next to you. His job is to take down everything that's being said verbatim during the hearing.
Okay.
So I will announce the case. I will have you both announce yourselves for the record. I will have each of the board members announce themselves to establish a quorum on the record. And then I will briefly explain how the hearing is going to proceed this morning. And then if either of you, Mr. Fleming and Doctor, have any questions, you can ask me at that time. All right?
Okay, thanks.
All right. As soon as our court reporter tells me he is ready, we will get started. All right. On the record. All right. Good morning. We are here on November 13th, 2025 in the matter of the petition for a reduction of penalty by Iman Abdullah, DO. This matter is being heard by the Osteopathic Medical Board of California, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California. My name is Marcy Larson. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearing. I'm assigned to preside over this matter and assist the board. Will the board members please state their name for the record, starting to my right with the president.
Gora Damian. Matthew Swain. Brett Lockman.
And to my left with our vice president.
Himesh Patel.
John Cummins.
We do have a quorum present. I'm going to now ask our court reporter to please state his name and his CSR number for the record.
My name is Evan Barnhart. I'll be the court reporter today. My license number is 145.
And counsel for the people.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, members of the board. I'm Deputy Attorney General Matthew Fleming, representing the Office of Attorney General Rob Bonta.
And Doctor, you are here today representing yourself, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you understand you could have had an attorney represent you at your own expense,
Yes,
and you're choosing to proceed on your own behalf.
yes,
All right. Doctor, we're here this morning because you have filed a petition seeking early termination of your probation, correct?
yes,
Do you understand that you have the burden of proving to the board that your probation should be terminated early?
yes,
All right. So the way that the hearing will proceed this morning is that I will ask Mr. Fleming to give the board a brief overview of the history of discipline of your license. And then Mr. Fleming will then address each of the exhibits that are before you. I'm assuming that you've reviewed those. Many of those are likely exhibits you provided to the board. But that being said, I will have Mr. Fleming identify the exhibits, and then I will ask you if you have any objections to any of those exhibits.
okay,
Now, there has to be a legal basis for you to object to an exhibit, but that being said, if you have any objection to any of those exhibits, you just tell me. I'll
okay,
find out why, and then I'll make a decision on whether or not that document will be admitted into evidence. Please understand that the board can only consider documents that are admitted into evidence and sworn testimony for purposes of issuing their decision today.
okay,
So after Mr. Fleming provides that brief overview and addresses the exhibits, I will then swear you in. You may provide the board members any information that you believe is relevant to your request to have your probation terminated early. Now, of course, they have the benefit of having all of the documents that have been submitted. And so you don't have to necessarily repeat things in those documents, but if there's specific things that you want to highlight, particularly regarding the rehabilitation you've undertaken since your license was disciplined, this is your opportunity to do so.
Okay.
After you are done providing your testimony, Mr. Fleming may have some questions for you. And then after he finishes questioning you, I will ask each of the board members if they have any questions for you. I then make sure that you have the last word since you have the burden in this matter. And then we'll ask you if you have any additional testimony. And then I will allow you both to give closing remarks if you wish.
Okay.
Once all of the evidence has been presented, the matter will be submitted for the board's consideration. The board will then go into closed session to deliberate with regards to your petition. You will not receive a decision today. You will receive a written decision by the board in the future.
Okay.
I know this is a lot of information. Do you have any questions before we get started?
No.
All right. Mr. Fleming, if you would please start with a brief overview of the history in this matter.
Certainly. Thank you, Your Honor. Dr. Abdallah had her license issued by this board in approximately 2015. It will expire in 2027 unless renewed. She also holds licenses to practice medicine in Florida and Michigan, which I think has some relevance to our hearing today. She was placed on probation following her voluntary stipulated agreement that she entered into with the board in just 2023. That was for a 5-year term of probation with standard terms and conditions, including a practice monitor, and everything else normally goes along with probation. Her probation would expire naturally, that is without early termination, in June of 2028, unless there's some other decision made. Her license came under the scrutiny of the board in early 2022. In February and April of that year, an accusation was filed and then amended, alleging 6 causes for discipline that stemmed from her ownership and management of 2 med spas in the Los Angeles area, those being named Cosmetic Laser and Beauty Bar. There were 6 total causes for discipline. They included gross negligence and repeated negligent acts, failure to maintain adequate and accurate medical records, violation of the Moscone-Knox Corporation laws, not having a fictitious name permit for those med spas, and also for the aiding and abetting of unsupervised practice of unlicensed healthcare workers. Essentially, Dr. Abdallah was abdicating her responsibility as an owner and manager of these med spas. There were some indicia of adverse patient results. And then because of the failure to document, there was an inability to find out which fillers had been injected into these patients, and a total breakdown of patient-physician communication. On probation, to her credit, she's done quite well. There are no violations indicated in the report. She has been in compliance with her quarterly reports. She's taken it upon herself to get some outside consultation and how she can bring her practice into alignment with laws and regulations, which is all to her credit. There is one out-of-state discipline case in the state of Florida. I've reviewed that, and it does appear to be based entirely on this board's actions here. Florida essentially automatically suspended her license while it is on probation in the state of California. It's my understanding of their laws that that order will terminate by operation of law once her probationary status is cleared here. So that's a basic overview of the background for Dr. Abdallah. More than happy to take any questions at the appropriate time if I can clear anything up for the board.
All right, Mr. Fleming, if you would just walk through each of the exhibits, identify all of them by number, and then Dr. Abdallah, please follow along, because at the end, I'm going to ask you if you've reviewed those exhibits and if you have any objections to any of them. All right?
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fleming.
Yes, Your Honor. So exhibit number 1 is Dr. Abdallah's petition for early termination. Exhibit number 2 is her certificate of licensure. Exhibit number 3 are the certified disciplinary documents, including the accusation that was filed, the stipulation that she entered into, and then the board's order thereupon. Exhibit 4 is the petition report filled out by this board's probation monitor. Number 5 is the certified copy of her entire probation file. Number 6 will be continuing medical education certificates that she submitted in support of her petition today. Number 7 are the policy documents that I alluded to in my opening that have been drawn up as a result of her consultation regarding her practice. Number 8 is the out-of-state discipline documents from Florida, which I also alluded to. Number 9 are additional letters of support that Dr. Abdallah submitted to me prior to today's hearing. Number 10 is her redacted curriculum vitae. And number 11 is the notice of hearing that was sent to her prior to today's proceedings.
All right, Dr. Abdullah, do you have any objections to exhibits 1 through 11?
No.
All right, 1 through 10 are admitted. Exhibit 11, the notice of hearing, is just a jurisdictional document that establishes you received proper notice of the hearing today.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Fleming, anything further?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, doctor, it's now your opportunity to testify. So I'm going to have you please stand. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under a penalty of perjury that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please have a seat. And please bring that microphone a little closer to you. And if you would just please state and spell your name.
My name is Iman Abdallah. First name spelled E-M-A-N. Last name A-B-D-A-L-L-A-H.
All right, doctor, just a few things to remember as you're testifying. As I mentioned before, we have a court reporter here, and he has to take down everything that's verbatim that's being said. So it's very important that you keep your voice up and you speak a little more slowly than you would in a conversation.
Okay.
That ensures he can follow along. You'll also see I'm taking notes, I'm following along, and we want to make sure all of our board members can hear you clearly and follow along with your testimony. All right?
Okay.
All right, you may begin.
Okay. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to appear in front of the board for my petition for early termination. And thank you for being calm and, helping my nervous state. And hearing just kind of the summary humbles me to even just hear about it. But I just kind of want to let you guys know, please, I feel like having a medical career involves constant evolving and learning. And I'm only human, and I feel like I'm going to keep learning until the end of my career and even thereafter. And I think, but I know for sure that at the time when this was happening, I was young and naive to think that I can handle all that I had voluntarily put onto my plate. And I've since let go of any and all supervisory role. I don't oversee, I guess what they say, oversee any med spas. I'm not involved with any other facility other than the practice that I currently show up to physically every day. I clearly at the time did not understand, and I totally underestimated the complexities of what I was doing or what I thought I was doing. I was ignorant to the laws and business professions codes, and I know and fully accept that ignorance does not buy you a ticket to get off the hook. So I know that and I accept that. And since even before my probation term started in July of 2023, I've taken the time and efforts to reflect on the situation. I'm extremely humbled by all of the events leading up to this point. And I'm kind of ready to just put it behind me, hopefully. On another note, I feel like I've changed the way I practice in so many ways to make sure there are no cracks in my foundation so that I can maintain seamless protocols, administrative practice, and just most importantly, the best patient care that I can give. I don't want to hurt anybody, whether it's intentionally, not intentionally. I don't want to have any staff that shouldn't be there. Like, I'm very careful with who I hire, who's on my team, and just everything from A to Z. I'm very careful, and I'm a totally changed practitioner from what I've learned. And on another side note, I know that the field of aesthetics, it's not cardiology, it's not internal medicine, it's not, neurology or anything where it's constantly growing, and with many practitioners, and whether they're doctors, physician assistants, nurses, nurse practitioners, everyone's trying to enter this field. So it's very complex. And I just hope that I can use what I learned, because I know that there are many people in the same situation that I was, like 5-6 years ago when all of this was happening. And I hope that I can be someone to contribute to the betterment of the field so that people don't end up hurt, and people and doctors and practitioners don't end up in the situation that I ended up in, because I don't wish it on anybody. I've helped, I'm sorry, I've been using electronic medical record 100%, like everything is with proper record keeping now. We keep logs of everything. I know there was something that was said about we couldn't figure out which filler it was, or on a particular patient. We record lot numbers, expiration dates, and every patient note. And we have a backup for that as well. Like, we have a binder where we keep everything, if for some reason we were to ever not have the EMR system that we're using now, we have a backlog of everything that we're doing or everything that we're using as far as filler and Botox and anything that has a lot number with an expiration date. So there's always a way to find out what was being used on a particular day and time. And in my note, I feel like I've created templates, notes. I've created like a system within my practice where obviously patient comes first, but everything is being documented so that there's no question of anything that's taken place during a particular visit. And lastly, I'm a totally different person now than I was then. I'm a mom of 2. I'm much more wise, and I just ask and I hope that please you can consider my petition for early relief of my probation term so that I can move on and put this behind me and just focus on being a better physician. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Doctor. Mr. Fleming, questions for the doctor?
Yeah, thanks. Dr. Abdallah, can you just describe your current employment a little bit for the board?
So currently I own my own practice, Imana Medical, and you mean like what I do, or?
What services you provide?
I provide non-surgical aesthetic services, injectables. I perform laser treatments, PRP injections, anything non-surgical in the aesthetic field.
And in terms of staff, who do you have on staff at your practice?
Currently, it's myself. I have a patient coordinator who coordinates the schedule and bookings, and I have 2 estheticians, one of which is a medical assistant. And I currently don't have any nurses or mid-level providers that would be, that I would, necessarily like delegate the procedures that I would perform to, such as a laser or any injections. I'm performing all of the medical treatments myself.
Okay, so you're not delegating any injections
No.
or laser treatments to
No.
staff? Okay. Where is your practice located?
In Beverly Hills, California.
Okay, but is it associated any way with cosmetic laser or beauty bar?
No.
Um,
If I may, I've since, I can't remember if I said it or not. I've let go of any ties to any, first of all, that one it's closed. It's gone out of business for years now. But I've let go of any ties to any other facility. It's just the location I just stated and the 3 team members that are part of my team.
Is it fair to assume that your patients are all privately paying?
Yes.
Okay. And Have you had any other employment during your time on probation?
So since prior to the probation taking effect, I was still on board with another med spa, but I've since let that one go. Like I was just kind of in the process of trying to let everything go, so I don't have any ties to anything. One of them was Glam Laser Beauty Studio, and I felt like I was like on their team, I guess. But I think it was back in 2020, either late 2023, I forget the exact date. But I don't have any connection with that. But the practitioner there was a nurse practitioner.
Okay. Has your experience always been in aesthetics?
I'm board certified in internal medicine. However, I took a liking to the practice, in aesthetics before I even moved to California. I was born and raised in Michigan, and for whatever reason, I took a liking to get into the aesthetics industry. And after I passed my board exam, I moved to California, and I just started my career in aesthetics. So it's kind of all I've practiced since I've been in practice.
Okay. You mentioned you were born and raised in Michigan. Do you still have ties to the state of Michigan?
Yes, I go back and forth to visit family. My family's still there.
And you hold a physician's license there. Have you ever practiced medicine in the state of Michigan?
It's been, when I was, that summer before I moved here, yes, I was moonlighting just while I was studying for my boards. But no, I don't have a practice there.
Moonlighting in internal medicine?
Yes, like urgent care, internal medicine, like a women's health clinic, just briefly while I was that summer before I took my boards.
And when did you acquire your physician's license in Florida?
I think it was 2020. It was before this took effect for sure. I think 2022. I'm not, if I'm not mistaken, either
Okay.
2022 or very early 2023. I don't remember.
Did you have an ownership interest in any practices in Florida?
My intention was a friend of mine who's in California, he was in California at the time, moved to Miami and opened up a practice of his own. The intention at the time was, not that I was going to have any ownership or any medical directorship or supervisory role at all, but if maybe to do like a pop-up visit or something, but nothing that would entail me supervising from a remote location. Like that location has its own physician, its own medical director, their own staff. I have nothing to do with it. I just got the license in the event that one day, if we were to ever want to do some kind of collaboration, that I would be able to do so. But that never came into fruition.
Okay. Any other than the one friend and practice who you sort of had some initial conversations about, any other ties to Florida
No.
professionally or?
No.
Okay. One of your letters of support was from Dr. Mona, and I don't know if I'm saying her last name right, Faki?
Yes.
Is that right? This is someone you consulted with about both cosmetic laser and beauty bar, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you continue to consult with this physician?
So she owned at the time a women's health center, and she was very keen on like business practices. So I consulted with her on just kind of how to do business. And I think once I received the initial complaints, she was one of the first people I called, just because she was always a role model for me. Just to kind of, I don't know, I guess in OBGYN, there's a lot of patients who complain, I guess. There's always issues. And I remember, I think that she had something that maybe she had dealt with herself. And I really can't remember why I asked her.
Did you consult with her about establishing your role in those facilities?
I can't remember, but No, not directly, not before or anything like that. I didn't ask anybody. I just kind of, as young and naive and foolish as I was, I took those on my own without the direction of anybody telling me, don't do it, which I wish somebody would have.
And she indicated that you acted as her consultant and educator in 2019?
Yeah, so after being here for 4 years and kind of advancing my practice in aesthetics, I guess people think I'm pretty good at what I do, just with the way that I inject and the way I perform procedures. And the women's health clinic that she is part of, they were interested in introducing aesthetics into their practice. So she actually consulted with me on, what do you think is the best device to add to the practice, or how do you go about performing this procedure so that you don't have these complications. We would have conversations like that. And so I was kind of like acting like a consultant for them at that point, just to help them introduce aesthetics into their practice.
Okay.
Just because Michigan is way different than California. Like I feel like LA and California is the forefront of aesthetics. And in the Midwest, they're like a few years behind in a sense of just we see things first, we have more volume, and then they kind of catch on a little bit later. So
Yeah, I guess just kind of the point of my question is this is around the time that you were having some issues with the board, or at least with your practice. It might not have been at the attention of the board yet.
okay.
And so using her as your letter of support, I'm just hoping you can kind of expound upon that. I mean, is this someone that was helpful or harmful in terms
No,
of?
she's helpful for sure.
You submitted a number of continuing medical education certificates. Are these above and beyond your standard requirement?
Yes. And in fact, after, I know you gave me a date in which to turn everything in. The ACOI conference that took place last month concluded after that date. So I did complete another additional like 50 credits or so from the ACOI conference. I just didn't submit them, but I just to let the board know, I do attend the ACOI conference every year.
Okay, so you're in compliance with your regular requirement, and then you're doing additional as well.
Yes.
Okay. Why do you want to terminate your probation?
I just feel like it's just constant stress. I feel like I've definitely evolved from the person I was, and I don't want to be on probation. I just feel like it's holding me back. There are things that, let's say if I want to apply for, let's say if I want to start practicing internal medicine, right? I can't even get an insurance company to approve the credentialing process for me, just because at that time I was credentialed with several insurance companies, and a lot of them let me go because of this. So it's limiting in the way that I could potentially practice. And a lot of it is, the stress. I don't plan on, if I were to have my probation relieved, I don't plan on then going back to doing what I was doing, where I would, start supervising other med spas. I get questioned all the time. People ask me all the time to be their medical director, quote unquote. And my answer is always no. And I wish I would have submitted those as evidence or an exhibit, but I promise I get asked at least a few times a year if I would be someone's medical director. And my answer is always no. I don't want any involvement in being involved in something that I cannot physically control and where I'm not there. I hope that made sense.
Thank you. That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, I'm now going to ask our board members if they have any questions for you, doctor, starting to my right with our president. And if you could please If you do have a question, just state your name for our court reporter that it will assist him. Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
And continuing to my right,
I don't have any questions either. Brett Lockman here. Dr. Aman, what is your monthly or quarterly burden on you personally with regard to your current probationary status? I understand you went through a record-keeping course and, sort of the initial perfunctory things that must be done to rectify the deficits that were found in your practice pattern. But aside from a sense of this black cloud over you right now, what is the actual burden if you're not planning on going back to a supervisory position or expanding your med spa or aesthetics practices? How does this negatively impact your day-to-day or month-to-month life?
I do currently have a practice monitor who I do pay every month, and that's one of the financial burdens. I do appreciate his input monthly and quarterly. So that's definitely not a burden, and it's something I hope to have a professional relationship with him so that he can continue to help me. Again, one of the other burdens was the insurance companies kind of like letting me go. And lastly, and I didn't mention this before, but if I were to apply for a license, let's say internationally, because I am from the Middle East, and my husband, actually, his whole family's in the Middle East, and maybe, there's nothing in any plan, but with me not having a good standing in the state that I'm practicing in, I can't even apply, I can't apply for a license outside of anywhere. It makes the process much more complicated. To a point where I feel like they just deny it. Like I have to have a good they call it a certificate of good standing, or just not having any discipline.
Could you remind us of the current staff that you have in your practice?
Yes.
What their certification is and what you have them doing in regards to scope of practice? In other words, what do you have your MA or other staff doing? And have you reviewed California's scope of practice for that profession?
Yes. So I have 2 estheticians. They perform facials with everything considered over-the-counter products. Nothing is medical grade. Otherwise, they're helping me just to prepare the room, make sure it's clean. They do not prepare or mix any Botox products or any filler. I'm the one who mixes, prepares, sets up anything for Botox. They are just simply putting a sheet on the tray and making sure the room's clean, and helping me kind of with the documentation. If they just kind of help me with my notes. If I say something, they remind me when I'm doing my notes. And as far as my clinical staff, that's it. My patient coordinator, his name is James. He handles all the scheduling as far as answering phones and booking patient appointments. Beyond that, I hold more than just a role of being the physician. I do everything. I'm many roles in my own practice. For the sake of, I don't want to have anyone else make a mistake and then it be beyond my control.
all right, now to my left with our Vice President. And just if you could just remember to state your name if you have a question. Thank you.
Himesh Patel, thanks for being here. As you mentioned, the field of aesthetics is changing. We see things in the media like the vampire facials, experimental things, in my opinion, which could potentially pose harm to the public. Our role at this board is to protect the public. to the best of our ability. So could you tell us more about your training in aesthetics? You did mention that after you finished your boards, you started to your career in aesthetics, but that was the internal medicine boards, right? Not the
Yes.
aesthetic boards. So what's the extent of your training in aesthetic medicine, and what are you doing to keep up with the rapid change in that field?
Sure. So before I even took my internal medicine board and I started to take a liking into aesthetics, I joined a company called Empire Medical Training, where they offer extensive courses in Botox, filler, PRP, anything you can think of, lasers, anything you can think of that with regards to aesthetics. And at the time, I had joined like their unlimited membership program where I was able to go to any of their meetings. So I attended in Michigan. I know I attended a few other times. One of them was in Florida, and I would repeat the courses just so that I can gain more information until I was, quote unquote, ready to feel like I was ready to start practicing in the field. So although I'm not a dermatologist or a plastic surgeon, I know that internal medicine definitely does not train one in being an aesthetic provider. I feel that I took certified courses. I took plenty of courses for me to become certified. And I know it's not like a certification that's like registered with the state or that we take an exam. I don't know if that even exists, but I feel like I was well ready to begin. And the companies that we purchase filler and Botox from and devices, they constantly have conferences and meetings multiple times a year locally in Los Angeles. I've spoken at some of them. I spoke at I gave 2 lectures because within some of these device companies, they regard me as a really good provider. And so they've sought consultation from me and connected me with a lot of physicians to kind of help them with their practice. Not that that should matter, but they always have world-renowned practitioners come and teach everything that's evolving. So you mentioned the vampire facial. They now have something called like PDGF that's beyond PRP. There's so many things that every year are coming out. The salmon DNA, like these are all things that are coming out, and I learn about them and I learn about the safety and risks from these meetings that I attend.
Thank you.
And plus a lot of YouTube from like renowned doctors.
Thanks so much. I have no further questions.
Continuing to my left.
I have no questions.
All right. All right, any additional questions from our board members before I ask Mr. Fleming, any additional questions?
No additional questions, Your Honor.
All right, Doctor, anything you would like to add to your testimony?
There was, if you all want to hear from her, there was one witness that I had mentioned. She was the one who, where I added that last letter of support. She's available. If it's up to you guys if she would want to call in for a, there's no, if not, that's okay. I think she's watching maybe, I'm not sure, but I gave her the phone number to call in if you all wanted to hear a little.
Well, it's up to you whether or not you call a witness. The board is not going to ask you
Oh,
to call
okay,
somebody.
okay.
It really is up to you if you choose to call a witness.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be nice to hear from her if that's okay.
All right, is the question would be, is it okay if she appears remotely?
Oh, if not, that's okay. I can just let her know that she provided a letter of support. So I think everything she'd want to say is there anyway, but if not, then it's fine.
We haven't arranged for a remote witness.
Oh,
right?
okay, then that's okay. That's okay. She's provided a letter of support and I think
Okay.
it was an exhibit.
So,
Uh,
yeah, so typically if you were going to not have a witness present for an in-person hearing, you would have to have requested that she be allowed to testify
Okay,
remotely.
okay,
Okay.
no problem. Yes.
And just for the benefit of Your Honor and the board, it's Exhibit 9,
All right.
AGO 143
Okay.
is the letter from this.
All right. All right, doctor, anything further that you would like to add to your testimony?
No, I just hope that the board can recognize my efforts and I just hope that I can be relieved of the probation to your discretion. Thank you.
All right, any closing remarks, Mr. Fleming?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This is Dr. Abdallah's burden to prove by clear and convincing evidence that she's deserving of this relief. And I think I'd just like to point out that this appears to be a case where probation is working for this licensee. It has provided her guidance, taken some otherwise wayward tendencies, brought them in alignment with California law. We are at the absolute earliest point in time in her probationary term during which she can actually petition for early termination. What I mean to say is that any earlier, she would not even be eligible to apply for early termination. So I do think it makes sense to let this play out. She did agree to a 5-year probationary term, and there's actually does not apply to Dr. Abdallah, and I'm not suggesting that it does, but there has been a change in the law such that early termination would not be available to her if she had entered into the agreement under the state of the current law. The expressed potential benefits of probation seem mostly hypothetical. She's discussed that her focus is in aesthetics. She's indicated that she does not have any plans to apply for any positions anywhere else other than the state of California, and probation keeps her in California. And it keeps her on the straight and narrow. It ensures that she will not be tempted by the many offers that she seems to have to supervise other clinics in other states where she holds licenses. And so overall, there is a balance of factors that the court considers. I think there is some aggravation in terms of the misconduct. I think the time period is very short since that misconduct occurred. On balance, you can say there's probably a wash because I do think Dr. Abdallah has presented a good application and taken it upon herself to try and show that she has rehabilitated. But when you get down to the core rehabilitation, and from my perspective, the major question being the interest of public safety, I think it does make sense to continue this term out. So my recommendation would be for the board to continue probation for the time being. And with that, I would submit it to your discretion.
All right, doctor, any closing remarks to the board?
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. I do think that being on probation has definitely helped me stay on this straight and narrow, and I have no intention of deviating from that if I were to be relieved. So that's one thing, but sorry, I was gonna say something. I know that the accusation came about in 2022. However, the initial investigation process had started back in 2018. And I think because of COVID, everything was delayed and things took a really long time to get to the point of where we did enter a stipulation into the settlement. And I know it seems like it's been, officially it has been a short time, and you're right. This is the earliest time that I could have applied for early termination. However, the stress of this and the black cloud of this has been lingering for over 5 years now. And even before any of this took place, I've been making strong efforts to align myself to the straight and narrow and to not deviate. And I have no plans to do that, regardless of if I'm on probation or not. I will not be overseeing any other medical practice now or later. It's not my intention and not in any of my interest at all. So I just want to emphasize that to the board.
All right, thank you, doctor. Is the matter submitted for the board's consideration?
Yes.
All right, matter is submitted and the record is closed. We are off the record.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you both. You are both
Thank you.
free to go unless our court reporter has any spellings he needs before you leave. Mr. Fleming, I think it was Exhibit 9.
Linda Assaw.
Yes.
Mr. Fleming, I'm going to return your documents to you.
Is this for me to keep?
You can keep that.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes. All right, thank you. You are both free to go.
Thank you.
And I'm now going to return the matter to our president.
Great. So we are now going to go into a closed session and deliberate, and then we'll come back and continue on with agenda item 6, agenda item 7, and agenda item 8, and then we'll break for lunch. Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and establish that we have a quorum and ask our board members to unmute their microphones. Machiko, can you please call the roll?
Cora Damian,
Present.
John Cummins,
Present.
Brett Lockman,
Present.
Hamesh Patel,
Here.
Denise Pines,
Present.
Matthew Swain.
Present.
Quorum has been established.
Great. Okay, moving to agenda item number 6, President's Report. So this past quarter, the Osteopathic Medical Board of California has continued to work diligently to advance our mission of protecting consumers and strengthening standards of care across the state. Throughout the year, regular and productive discussions with our Executive Director, Erica Calderon, have helped shape our meeting agendas and move key board projects forward. I'd like to begin by recognizing the dedicated service of Andrew Marino. He is not here present with us, but he was appointed by the governor's office on July 14, 2017, and completed his term October 30th, 2025. After more than 7 years of service to the board, and during his tenure, he served as both secretary and vice president, and consistently demonstrated commitment and leadership. And on behalf of OMBC, we extend our sincere appreciation and we wish the best wishes to Mr. Marino in his future endeavors. The OMBC is also pleased to announce the appointment of a new board member, Najeen Mira Harby, I think I'm saying that right, of La Jolla, who was appointed to the board by the governor's office on October 30th, 2025. She is joining us online today as a spectator and will be with us in person at our January meeting. Ms. Mira Harbi has been a law professor at the University of San Diego School of Law since 2017 and an attorney and mediator at Mahari Law Group since 2021, a law professor at California Western School of Law and the Colleges of Law in 2025, a law professor at Thomas Jefferson School of Law from 2021 to 2022, an assistant director of deposition, expert deposition and trial advocacy programs at the National Institute for Trial Advocacy from 2009 to 2011. She is an arbiter and a law counsel officer for the State Bar of California. She earned a Juris Doctorate degree from the University of San Diego School of Law and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science from the University of California, San Diego, and we welcome her to the board and look forward to seeing her in January. Looking ahead, the board will host its first Hill Day in January of 2026. It is scheduled for the day prior to the board meeting, and we will meet with legislators to share an overview of what is a DO and to build support for a future bill defining who is licensed as a DO, protecting both our profession and our name. I encourage all of our board members to let Ms. Calderon or myself know if you are available. We currently have 4 board members participating in Hill Day. Next year, we also plan to host another interested parties meeting to engage the public directly and continue to foster transparency and open dialogue. As many of you know, I serve on the board of the Federation of State Medical Boards, and at our October meeting, we discussed an emerging licensing pathway for medical graduates who have not matched into an accredited postgraduate training program or have passed USMLE Step 3 or COMLEX Level 3. These individuals are referred to as assistant physicians. To date, 12 states have enacted legislation recognizing this category, and several others are considering doing so. The FSMB is currently studying this issue and preparing guidance as future states move in this direction. And then on September 3rd, I had the honor of representing OMBSC, and FSMB in Dublin, Ireland at the annual meeting of the International Association of Medical Regulatory Authorities. As part of the cultural working group, several of us had presented the world's first guidance for developing medical regulatory standards to address medical racism and other forms of discrimination. And then finally, I'd like to acknowledge an important transition here at the Department of Consumer Affairs. Last week, we received notice that DCA Director Kimberly Kirschmeyer will be retiring at the end of the calendar year. Ms. Kirschmeyer began her career 35 years ago at DCA in 1989 as a student assistant at the Board of Barbering and Cosmetology. She was promoted into several different positions and units there until 1999, when she had the opportunity to join the Medical Board of California as an associate governmental program analyst. At the Medical Board, she worked in several units, learning different processes, and continued being promoted, eventually being appointed to the deputy director in 2005. She stayed in that position until her first governor's appointment in 2009 by Governor Schwarzenegger as the DCA Deputy Director of the Board and Bureau Relations. And in 2011, she returned back to the Medical Board as the Deputy Director and later became the Executive Director in 2013, where I had the pleasure of working with her as the Medical Board's President. She remained in that position until she had the honor of being appointed by Governor Newsom in 2019 as the Director of DCA, which she has now served 6 years, making her one of the longest reigning directors in that position. Ms. Kirschmeyer will be missed. She has dedicated her career to ensuring the state provided the best protection possible. She has been a dedicated and compassionate leader in all of her state roles and a mentor to so many leaders of state boards, including our own Ms. Calderon. Ms. Kirschmeyer's leadership and mentorship has had a lasting impact on this department and on many of us personally, and we extend our gratitude and wish her the best in her retirement. And that concludes my president's report. Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from board members on the president's report? Any comments from members of the public in the room? Moderator, are there anybody wishing to make a comment online?
This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the president's report, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Our call-in users press *3 to raise their hand. If you're logged in on a mobile device, the hand icon might be behind the other dots. And if you do choose to speak, you'll have 3 minutes with a 15-second warning. Any comments on the president's report? I see no request for comment. I'll turn the meeting back to you.
Great. So we're going to move to agenda item 7, board member communication with interested parties. Do any of the board members have anything to share at this moment? Okay. Are there any comments from members of the public in the room? Moderator, is there anyone requesting a comment online?
This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the agenda item, you're more than welcome to click the hand icon to designate that you'd wish to speak. Each speaker will have 3 minutes with a 30-second warning. Any comments on communication with interested parties? I see no requests. I'll turn the meeting back to you.
Great. Moving to agenda item number 8, Intergovernmental Relations Report and Administrative Services Update. I think we are going to be joined for our DCA update by Shelley Jones, who has now been promoted to Assistant Deputy Director of Board and Bureau Relations. Congratulations.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. Just a few updates for today. First, we do have a new executive team members with our BBR team. Governor Newsom announced and appointed Lucy Saldivar as the Deputy Director of Board and Bureau Relations. Lucy previously served as Chief of Staff in the Office of Assemblymember Lisa Calderon since 2022 and Legislative Director from 2021 to 2022. She also held multiple roles in the Office of Assemblymember Jackie Irwin from 2017 to 2021. Lucy is a member of the Hope Leadership Institute and the California Latino Capital Association Foundation. And then secondly, as you mentioned, I was also appointed to serve as the Assistant Deputy Director for Board and Bureau Relations. I bring 29 years of experience working with boards. I have been with DCA since 2015, serving in several capacities with Board and Bureau Relations, as well as DCA's strategic organizational leadership and individual development and organizational improvement offices. Prior to joining DCA, I served in multiple roles at the Juvenile Parole Board with the California Department of Corrections. We're very excited to be serving as your new Board and Bureau Relations team, and I know Lucy looks forward to meeting all of you soon at one of your future meetings. And then finally, after 36 years of dedicated service at the Department of Consumer Affairs, DCA Director Kimberly Kirchmeyer recently announced she will retire at the end of this year. Director Kirchmeyer began her career at DCA as a student assistant in 1989. She was appointed by Governor Newsom as DCA Director in 2019. Within her first 6 months on the job, she navigated severe wildfires and the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, transitioning the department's 3,500 employees to telework. Director Kirchmeyer would like me to extend a special thank you for the honor and opportunity to serve as your director for the past 6 years. She would also like me to thank you for your continued hard work and dedication to the department, the state, and the consumers of California. Your work is invaluable, impactful, and integral to DCA's mission of consumer protection, and she knows it will continue for years to come because of the extraordinary staff at DCA. Training. We have a couple new training programs or trainings available, sexual harassment prevention training being the first. As you may remember, sexual harassment prevention training is mandated for completion within 30 days of your appointment to the board and every 2 years thereafter. On October 27th, DCA launched its new sexual harassment prevention training, and it is in the learning management system, also known as LMS. Couple things to note: if you completed the 2024-2025 version of the sexual harassment prevention training during those 2 calendar years, the new training will be automatically assigned to your LMS account 2 months before your 2-year mark. So that will be 60 days prior to the deadline of which it needs to be taken again. If you've not completed the 2024-2025 version of this training, the new version has already been assigned to your LMS account, and that was done so on October 27th, so you can log in and begin that training. Going forward, the compliance deadline will either be 2 years from the last completion date for those that took the training, or by December 27th for those that have not yet taken it during those 2 calendar years. Upon completion of the new sexual harassment prevention training, it will be automatically reassigned to your LMS account biennially, and that would be 22 months from your last completion date. If you have any questions or need assistance accessing the training or the LMS, please let us know at Board and Bureau Relations. And then secondly, unconscious bias training. DCA's training unit has developed unconscious bias training for board members specifically. This training will be added to members' LMS accounts in November, as well as incorporated into all onboarding when new members are appointed. You can find your training records under the transcript section of your LMS account. And again, if you need any help accessing that or locating that, please give us a call. Our Promise campaign has launched every year through the Our Promise California State Employees Charitable Campaign. State employees, including board members, have the opportunity to support the nonprofit causes they are passionate about through payroll giving or one-time donations. These contributions have a positive impact on our communities, and it's another way for DCA to show it cares for California. The campaign runs through December 31st, and DCA will be emailing information to board members this month. In the meantime, please contact Board and Bureau Relations with any questions you have or information on how you can give. And then in closing, I would like to take an opportunity to welcome your new member Mira Hobby, and the board, and also to thank Member Marino for his years of service on the board and to California's consumers. Thank you for the opportunity to join you today. Let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you. I just have a quick question on the training that we all have to take. Will they email us and let us know, or do we have to be proactive and go into a system?
So I guess that would depend on which training and when you last took it. So if I can get with you after the meeting today, we can touch base on that.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to echo that, it's a little tricky because I know there's a website and we're not officially with DCA, so we don't have login credentials and we forget our password. I don't know if you could just help make it easier. for us.
Yes, unfortunately, there are two different access points for our LMS system. One access point for those who do have department issued emails, and then one for those who are using their personal emails. I can send out instructions on both of those methods. And then if any point you have trouble gaining access to it or your password has expired, you can just send an email to member relations or give me a call and I can get that reset for you.
Great. Thank you. Any other comments from the board on DCA report? Are there any comments from members of the public in the room? Moderator, are there any comments from members of the public online?
This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the DCA update, you can look for the hand icon, typically at the bottom of your WebEx screen, or behind the three-dot other options if you're on a mobile device, and click that hand icon to raise your hand. Each speaker will have 3 minutes with a 15-second warning. Are there any comments on the DCA update? I do not see any raised hands. I'll turn the meeting back to you.
Great. Thank you. Okay, now we have our budget office update, and we're joined by Kayla Van Lent and Harmony in DCA's budget office. I can assume they're remote.
Yes, they are. And as an update, we have Suzanne Balkus instead of Harmony.
Oh, okay.
DeFilippo.
No problem. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam President Pines. My name is Kayla Van Lint, and I am a budget analyst with the DCA Budget Office. I am joined by the budget manager, Suzanne Balkus. I want to thank the board and the executive staff for allowing me a few minutes to present on agenda item 8B, the board's expenditure projections and fund condition statements. First, I'm going to start with the board's expenditures included in your materials. The projections are based on actual data through the fiscal month 3. This report includes 2024 through 2025 actual expenditures in green, as well as 2025 through 2026 budgeted and projected expenditures in blue and orange. As we move to the end of the document, you will see the board had a beginning balance or a beginning base budget of $4.709 million and is projected to spend about $4.540 million, creating a reversion to the board's fund of approximately $50,000. a reversion percentage of 1.09%. The next document I'll be going over is the board's revenue projections included in your materials. This report includes receipts collected through September, and I will go further into these projections as we transition to the next slide. The next document is the board's fund condition statement. This is included in your materials. As a reminder, we read this document from top to bottom and left to right. The left column is the board's prior year, 2024 through 2025, based on actuals. It shows the board began 2024 through 2025 with a beginning balance of $5.098 million. The board collected $4.119 million in revenues, with $1.096 million from initial license fees, $2.737 million from renewal fees, and $286,000 was collected from the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. The board expended $4.274 million, which includes $217,000 in direct draws to the fund for statewide pro rata and pension payments. The board ended 2024 through 2025 with $4.943 million in reserve balance, or about 12.4 months in reserve. For current year 2025 through 2026, the board projected revenues of $3.827 million, with $1.133 million projected from initial license fees, about $2.469 million from renewal fees, and $225,000 in the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. The budget office will continue to monitor the board's revenue and expenditures and report back to the board with monthly expenditure projections as we continue in the current fiscal year. A few things to note about the board's fund condition. The fund condition is a snapshot in time. One of the main factors driving expenditure increases in the future years is a result of personal service adjustments. These include general salary increases as well as employee compensation and retirement rate adjustments. The budget office includes a conservative ongoing 3% increase to expenditures on the fund condition statement to account for these ongoing incremental adjustments. You will also notice revenue is projected static in the out years. Lastly, I would like to note to the board that any future legislation or unanticipated events could result in the board's need for additional resources, which would create cost pressure on the fund. The budget office will continue to monitor the board's fund condition statement and keep the line of communication with the board's executive staff open for any future needs or expectations. Again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present at today's meeting, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Do any board members have any questions about the budget report? Nope. Any comments from members of the public, please, in the room?
Holly McCriss, Osteopathic Physicians and Surgeons of California. Will that be made available? Because it's not linked on the website.
Yeah, I didn't have it.
Sorry, I don't mean to put it, it's just, it usually is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Are there any comments, moderator, are there any comments from members of the public online?
This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the budget update, you can look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. And our call-in users can press *3 to raise their hands. Are there any comments on the budget report? I do not see any requests. I'll turn the meeting back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Van Lint. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move to agenda item 9, the Executive Director's Report by Ms. Caraduan.
Good morning, Madam Board President Pines, Vice President Patel, Secretary Adamian, and members of the board. As we enter the holiday season, I would like to take a moment to thank all of you for your continued partnership and leadership in helping the OMBC meet its mission. I would also like to take a moment to wish you all a very joyful holiday season and a very successful new year. My report today is intended to provide you all with an update on personnel and other administrative functions and projects occurring at the OMBC, and no action is needed at this time. I would like to start by thanking Andrew Moreno for serving on the board for over 7 years and give a warm welcome to Ms. Nagin Mirahabi, whom I've had the pleasure to speak to on several occasions, and I can say that I am extremely excited about her eagerness of being on the board. Welcome to DCA's Board and Bureau Deputy Director Lucia Saldivar, and congratulations to Assistant Deputy Director Shelley Jones on her promotion into her new role. I know the two of you will be instrumental in helping OMBC fill its 2 vacant member board positions, so we thank you in advance. And I couldn't end my thank yous today. Sorry, I'm going to get a little emotional here without acknowledging our very own DCA director, Ms. Kimberly Kirchmeyer, whom I personally call Wonder Woman. Ma'am, thank you for your leadership, your mentorship, but most importantly, your friendship for so many years. I know that cape is not coming off, so continue to wear it each and every single day. Just remember that you can hang it up from time to time now without any pressure. You will be extremely missed around here, and we all wish you an extraordinary retirement, which you wholeheartedly deserve. Now that the hardest part was done, in terms of personnel, OMBC continues to have 15.9 authorized positions. OMBC is happy to announce that it backfilled its vacant enforcement analyst position reported at the last board meeting. Ms. Rachel Molina, if you can raise your hand, joined the OMBC on September 22nd, 2025. Rachel has over 10 years of experience working for the state of California and comes to the OMBC from the Department of General Services Office of Administrative Hearings. Rachel will be conducting desk investigations, working consumer complaints from intake all the way through discipline. An update on our special investigator, Ms. Yvonne Almazan, if you can raise your hand in the back, joined the OMBC on September 8th, 2025. Yvonne currently has over 20 pending active investigations assigned to her and is monitoring another 12 cases awaiting criminal convictions. Just as a reminder, all of her cases that are assigned to her on a case are assigned on a case-by-case basis, depending on the complexity of the allegations. And at any given point in time, these cases can be transferred to a sworn investigator to take over. For example, some of the cases that have been assigned to her, that can be assigned to her, are subsequent arrest notifications that do not require suspension, such as Penal Code Sections 23, interim suspension orders, or any assistance by DFI. Failure to release medical records, record-keeping violations, contract violations, false and misleading advertising, not unlicensed, not criminal-related, continuing educational violations, some probation violation cases, non-jurisdictional issues, general unprofessional conduct, negligence, incompetence resulting in minor harm, general work quality complaints, such as offensive behavior, conduct, and/or speech, practicing with a delinquent license, not requiring an in-person undercover operation, patient abandonment with minimal consumer harm. DFI will continue to support the board with complaints alleging the following: practicing under the influence of drugs and alcohol, mental or physical impairment of a licensee, unlicensed practice or practicing with a delinquent revoked license resulting in great bodily injury, death, and/or requiring an in-person undercover operation, aiding and abetting the unlicensed practice resulting in great bodily injury, death, and/or requiring an in-person operation, acts of serious consumer harm, gross negligence or incompetence by a licensee resulting in great bodily injury or death, obtaining licensure by selling or using fraudulent documents or transcripts, felony convictions, and sexual misconduct. I did include an image of our organizational chart. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that with every update going forward. With all of our changes that we've had, it's always good to get a visual. So that's in your materials. Now for an update on the executive order for the return to office. Just want to remind all of you that the return to office, as previously reported, was postponed again, obviously to July 1st of 2026, as reported previously. I have identified a need to bring back enforcement staff to the office at a minimum of 3 days. As previously reported, they were attending 2 days a week and teleworking 3 days, but now it's 3 days in the office and 2 days teleworking. And this is to help with the onboarding of new staff and just to establish a more collaborative effort between the unit now that we have our non-sworn investigator as well joining us. There hasn't been any need for other staff to return, and as usual, our receptionist is in the office daily. In terms of state budget, OMBC budget, and travel restrictions, OMBC is still operating under the Department of Finance issued budget letters. OMBC must monitor all overall expenses and limit out-of-state travel to essential operational needs only. All out-of-state travel requests must be approved by the governor's office, and the approval will be limited to mission critical only. Discretionary trips will not be considered this year. In terms of our very own budget, the board continues to work closely with DCA's budget office to monitor the board's expenditures and request budget augmentations in areas where those are needed, such as enforcement. And later today, we are going to be discussing our regulatory packet, which you'll know a little bit more of our board staff efforts to help increase our revenue with our fees and our petitions. To provide an update on our committees and our board programs, I'm going to start off with the enforcement program. The enforcement program recently underwent a 2-week enforcement academy style refresher course in-house conducted by yours truly. The program met for 2 hours daily for 2 weeks and received extensive training on how to handle all case types and perform all duties of the enforcement process. This allows for cross-training between staff, and obviously a refresher course is always a good way of conducting business. It is a very complex desk load in the board, so we'd like to keep staff just engaged and aware of all of their resources. In attendance, we had our very own enforcement program manager, our intake analyst, the 3 enforcement analysts, board's probation monitor, and our special investigator. The enforcement staff also continue to work extensively with me and the DCA's regulatory council to draft language for the board's proposed disciplinary guidelines. Board staff will be meeting with the board's enforcement committee in the next couple of weeks and eventually present the language to the full board in January of 2026. For the licensing and administrative services program, implementation is under full force right now to establish the board CME self-certification and audit program that we wholeheartedly waited for so long. So far, the board has been working with the Breeze team to turn on the switch on the self-certification renewal application and establish our annual random CME audit list. In addition, the unit has completed all audit templates and has had them approved by legal counsel. The board hopes to have this process fully implemented at the next board meeting, by the next board meeting. In terms of the education committee, board staff continue to work with DCA's communication teams on its how to file a consumer complaint video. Production has started on the video, and we hope to introduce the video at our upcoming board meeting in January. Soon thereafter, the board will be transitioning over to develop an application services educational video. Terms of our legislative committee update, board staff will be joining, as Ms. Pines mentioned, a couple of our board members on Hill Day, which will be on January 21st, 2026. This is a milestone opportunity for the board, again, as Ms. Pines mentioned, to introduce OMBC to the legislators, highlight the unique value of our Doctor of Osteopathic licensees, and strengthen our voice in state policy conversations. In terms of communication, as you all know, I represent the prescribing boards as part of the CURE's Executive Stakeholder Committee and continue to meet regularly with DCA's leadership staff and the Department of Justice. Most recently, I was appointed by DCA's director to participate in DCA's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Accessibility, the DEA Steering Committee. This committee was established by Director Kirchmeier in 2022 to help guide the department's DEIA efforts. It focuses on embedding these efforts into the department's policies and practices. I've had calls and emails exchanges with Madam Board President Pines to discuss pending and ongoing projects and meeting agendas. I continue to meet periodically with the board's Attorney General Liaison, Ms. Carolyn Westfall. We're actually working on a future presentation for January on our physician-patient relationship, and communicate frequently with Senior Assistant Gloria Castro as well. The DCA, I continue to meet also periodically with members of the Consumer Watchdog Group to gather their input on improving enforcement practices and procedures. Enforcement staff, mainly Christy, continues to meet monthly with DCA's Division of Investigation HQIU office to discuss progress on pending investigations at the field. And lastly, for communication, our committee meetings did start, as mentioned, and the board leadership continue to meet frequently with these designated members. Additionally, staff participated in meetings with other local, state, and national organizations in discussing and deciding regulatory measures common to OMBC and others. These organizations include the AG's office, DCA in general, other boards within the department, such as NBC, BRN, Board of Pharmacy, PAB, Physical Therapy, Department of Public Health, Department of Healthcare Services, the Federation of State Medical Boards, National Board of Osteopathic Medical Examiners, also known as NBOME, the International Association of Medical Regulations Authorities, Osteopathic Physicians and Surgeons of California, American College of Osteopathic Family Physicians of California, and lastly, Premier Health, who is now handling the board's diversion program. For outreach efforts, the OMBC continues to post content regularly on all of our social media platforms, such as Facebook, LinkedIn, and X, and the board continues to keep its website current, which includes posting relevant legislation, frequently asked questions for our consumers and our licensees, and we do maintain our publication of all of our enforcement actions. This past quarter, OMBC did not attend, unfortunately, any outreach events. As previously mentioned, this is all due to the overall budget concerns that we have. That concludes my presentation for today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board members might have.
I just have a question on the outreach sort of stopping, because I know that's been pretty effective. Is it that you can't travel anywhere? Like, could you do stuff that's in Sacramento, places that are drivable?
Absolutely, Ms. Pines, we can do that. As a matter of fact, we are going to be hosting our annual professional identity course at Touro University on the 20th of this month. So we can travel locally, just can't stay overnight and incur expenses of hotels or flights. One of the other things that I am looking into is starting to possibly do some Zoom meetings and outreach presentations and that's early on in the discussions. And I think you and I spoke about this recently. So I'll be meeting with both the enforcement manager and licensing manager to figure out how we can still actively participate in such efforts. I think it's very important for both our licensees and our stakeholder consumers to hear continuously of what we do and put our voice out there. So I think we're going to venture out to the virtual world pretty soon here.
Okay, good, good. Any other board members have any comments about the executive director's report? Okay. Are there any members in the room that have, any members in the room that have any comments about the executive director's report? Moderator, is there anyone online that would like to make a comment about the executive director's report?
There is, but I will go ahead and make the announcement. If any others would like to make a comment, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. Each speaker will have 3 minutes with a 15-second warning. And we do have a couple of raised hands. We'll start with Michelle Montserrat Ramos. I'm going to send you a request to unmute your mic and you'll have 3 minutes. You're unmuted.
Good morning. I am Michelle Montserrat Ramos, and I am with Consumer Watchdog. First, I have to echo Director Calderon's comments regarding Director Kim Kirschmeyer's departure. I have known Kim for many years now, when she was the executive director of the Medical Board of California, and I was a member of the California Safe Patient Project with Consumer Reports Consumers Union. We used to travel to Sacramento regularly to meet with Kim and her staff to discuss and work on issues important to consumers. She always respected the public's opinion, and she will be greatly missed. Regarding board committees, we appreciate the committee updates, but when can we anticipate the enforcement committee to meet in public during the quarterly board meetings? I think that we can agree that the public's focus is on enforcement, and much of the focus on this board is linked to enforcement. We are very interested in the new language and organization of the disciplinary guidelines and may have something to offer in terms of input before the language is presented to the board and we are allowed to offer input at that meeting. We're heading into sunset review soon. The work to begin to prepare for sunset review will take place next year, and we will be there for it. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next request for comment is from Maria Ibarra Navarrete. Maria, I'm going to send you a request to unmute your mic.
Hi, good morning. My name is Maria Ibarra Navarrete. I am from San Jose and a volunteer with Consumers Watchdog. We appreciate the updates from the board's committees. However, we firmly believe that the critical work of the enforcement committee deserves to be conducted in a public forum. Given that a substantial portion of your funding is dedicated to enforcement, and the public's main interest in this board lies within the enforcement program, we believe this committee should be held during the public meeting. This issue being tackled during this committee meeting, along with the projects you are pursuing, are not just administrative matters, they are also significant importance to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next request for comment is from Kimberly Turbin. Kimberly, I'm going to send you a request to unmute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Kimberly Turbin. I'm from Reseda and I'm also a volunteer with Consumer Watchdog. I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty deeply troubled to see the term cradle to the grave, used to describe how your cases are managed here. While there are numerous ways to articulate your approach, that phrase should not be amongst them. We recognize that you have not endured the preventable negligence that we have faced, nor have you navigated the arduous process of filing a consumer complaint. We are human beings, not mere control numbers or medical record identifiers. What is even more distressing is the use of the term cradle. when this board had closed complaints related to infants denying them the special statute of limitations designed for minor children. Tragically, some of those babies died without their deaths being investigated. One particular child who suffered serious harm yet remains alive will celebrate her 11th birthday on Christmas Eve. She will never walk. She remains dependent on a feeding tube, will require multiple surgeries throughout her life, and needs round-the-clock care. Yet, this board opted not to extend the special statute of limitations to her. I ask you to reconsider using language that may offend those you are here to serve. We are here with a commitment to collaborate and engage respectfully with you. I ask that you extend the same courtesy and respect to the public and the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And I did see one further hand go up, but it's down again. If you'd like to make a comment, click the hand icon to raise your hand. And I do not see any further requests for comment. I will turn the meeting back to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your comments. Ms. Calderon, thank you for your report. I think we're going to do one more before we break for lunch. So we're going to go to agenda item 10, licensing program update by Machiko Chong, the board's licensing program manager.
Good morning, Madam Board President and board members. Today, I will be reporting on the licensing statistics and program review for the licensing program. Attachments 10A and 10B reflect the licensing population and application stats for the first quarter of the 2025-26 fiscal year. Currently, there are 17,012 licensed osteopathic physicians and surgeons, 1,695 postgraduate training licensees, 1,369 fictitious name permits, and no temporary osteopathic physicians and surgeons licenses. With the application process converting from the paper to exclusive electronic submission in the 2022-23 fiscal year, and the board experiencing a parallel backlog as a result of the manual keying of applicant data by the board staff, prior fiscal year reports provided a skewed picture of the board's application intake. However, with the recent conclusion of the first quarter and the data entry of initial applications now streamlined, we have a clear picture of the variance between this and last fiscal year. Overall, the board is up 17% on total applications received, and you'll see there was a 5% increase on the osteopathic physicians and surgeons applications, 15% increase on the postgraduate training licenses, and 45% for the fictitious name permits. There are 269 pending initial applications, with 34 of those requesting expedited services. The application breakdown is as follows. There are currently 46 applications pending for the postgraduate training license type and 223 for the osteopathic physicians and surgeons certificate. And then in terms of expedited service requests, we have 30 applicants requesting expedite services for medically underserved areas, 4 for military veterans, and 2 for abortion services. Over the past 2 months, the licensing unit has worked with the Breeze team to revise the initial application for the fictitious name permits. Staff added context language to application tabs, also known as record-specific data, or RSDs, to clarify information that the board is requesting from the applicants. Additional RSDs were created to ensure that applicants understood the requirements for each of the 3 F&P filing types, the naming convention required for F&Ps, and to explain the documents and/or signatures that are needed. Board staff have also worked on additional Breeze maintenance and operation requests, or BMOs, to cease the printing and delivery of pocket ID cards for the postgraduate training license type, and update the physician and surgeon's renewal application to accommodate licensee self-certification and the audit of continuing medical education. In October, I attended the California Health Sciences University's residency fair in Clovis, California. It is always a pleasure to interact with the osteopathic students, educating them on the requirements for licensure, the importance of establishing early communication with the board, and staying in the know about items that might impact the osteopathic medical profession. Contact was also made with residency programs throughout California who were able to ask questions about the application process and obtain real-time updates on pending applications currently in queue for residents who have matched with their programs. This concludes my report for the day.
Thank you. I have a question just about when we have requests for expediting licenses. Like, how do you prioritize that? And what's typically the time frame of that, expedition of license?
So in terms of the desk process for expediting applications, they are placed in color coordinated files that the staff have in their queues. Those are taken before any other application pending the required documentation has been received in office. That tends to be an issue, and that really was an issue earlier on with a few of the expedite requests. We reach out to legal to see if there was a way to kind of manage our queue because, an application can go incomplete for a year before it drops out of our system. At that same time, if they're requesting an expedite, obviously our cycle times are skewed based off of that, even if they're not providing that documentation. So after 30 to 60 days, if we've made requests for the required documents and still have not received them, we remove the modifier out of the system. However, if the documents are subsequently submitted to the board, we'll place that modifier back on and continue the expedited review of those applications.
Okay. What's typically the documents that are delayed?
Well, attestation of whatever the expedite request is. So if they're requesting to work in a medically underserved area, we need documents from both the facility that you will be working with, as well as you attesting to the fact that I'm requesting this because I need to be placed here for this reason. Same with abortion and so on and so forth.
Okay, thanks. That's good to know. Are there any board members that have any comments or questions?
I had a question about the fictitious name permits. It looks like for both the total applications received and the renewals, they're up considerably. And I was wondering if that was remarkable or it's cyclical, or if we know. The total applications received are up 45% year to date, and the renewals are up 108% year to date.
So we did experience a backlog. Previously, the application was online, but as I stated, it was removed. There were issues with the data received in terms of corporation status and whatnot. Even though we put language on the application letting them know, and as well as in the instructions, what they could file or how they could file, both with us and the Secretary of State, it's still not being followed. So now it's back in a manual status, and so there is keying that comes along with the inclusion of those applications.
Thank you.
John, and if I can add to that, a couple of meetings ago, we reported that enforcement also did an audit of all of our F&Ps that were delinquent, and we did find quite a few that had not been either canceled because the business had closed down or renewed. One of the things that Machiko and I are working on is to establish an actual dedicated person to maintaining our F&Ps. A lot of our licensees don't know that this is a renewable license that has to get renewed every December, as a matter of fact. So we're actually in that renewal cycle right now. And if it doesn't get renewed, it goes in a delinquent status. And after 5 years, it cancels. But during that time, we haven't had a dedicated person on staff to focus on either reaching out to the licensee to make sure that they receive that notification that their license is up for renewal or their permit is up for renewal. So that's what we're working on right now actively, to try to bring on an individual or one of our team members to take that on, to fully dedicate some efforts on maintaining that, and also issuing citations for those doctors that have let it lapse and continue to practice with a delinquent license. But we did do an effort to help renew a bunch of applications, and I think those numbers reflect in those numbers.
Great. Are there any other comments or questions from board members? Are there any comments from members in the room? Moderator, are there any comments from members of the public online?
This is the moderator. If anyone would like to make a comment on the licensing admin program summary, you may look for the hand icon and click that to raise your hand. If you're on a mobile device, that hand icon might be behind the three-dot other options. Are there any comments on the licensing admin report? I do not see any requests for comment. I'll turn the meeting back to you.
Great. So we are going to break for lunch. Lunch has arrived. It is 11:34, so 35. We'll come back at 12:15 p.m.